thank you so much for letting me come here today. Firstly, were you shocked about the election outcome? So did you see it coming?
I think most people would say, working on our campaign here, that the first 3 weeks, hearing a lot of people say they were quite undecided in a short campaign was quite worrying, as you can imagine. And then when you get data returns of people really being undecided, I spent a lot of my time talking to them to kind of understand what it was that they weren't clear about. I think, though, we started to see a shift actually from the response back on the door probably in the last 2 weeks, which was a lot more positive. As much as I thought I was going to retain the seat, there's always that thing in the back of your mind, and of course when the exit polls came out.
So why do you think that Labour kind of lost the election? I know there's multiple factors, Brexit being one of them, but could you pick other factors that you think were the reason?
Yeah, I think that on the doorstep, I heard a lot about the divisions in the Labour Party, and I think that was really worrying, the fact that, our conference is live streamed, people see the kind of divisions and they don't trust parties that are divided, and divided parties do not win. So I think that had a big deal, big issue to do with why we lost. Actually, Remainers didn't know if we would remain, Leavers didn't know if we would leave. And I spent a lot of time actually in this constituency listening to both sides actually and hearing what the issues were. But fundamentally actually in this constituency, when I was out on the doorstep, it did come down to local issues. People were more worried about the lack of police, and of course they had Brexit in their mind and they felt that politicians weren't honouring the outcome of the result. But of course, different.
You have publicly endorsed Keir as the next Labour leader. Why do you think he should be the leader out of Rebecca Long-Bailey and Lisa Nandy?
Well, there's 3 things. Firstly, I think Keir came out very strongly at the beginning, talking about the importance of unifying, and absolutely, we've had the worst election result since 1935. Divided parties just do not win, and I think Keir is absolutely right to consistently keep that message going, because we need to bring all factions of the party together and move forward and stop looking back and stop asking people which part of the party they are from, which side of the factionalism, and actually think about the future and think about what's the challenges that we face ahead. Secondly, though, I think it does matter that the next leader has the right skills and the background and the experience, and for that reason Keir absolutely does. Managing a complex organisation like public prosecutions is not easy. An organisation that has 9,000 staff, making decisions on national security.
Many people saying that the next leader should be a woman. Does this matter if Keir's elected and obviously he's not a female? Is that an issue?
I think the task for the party at the moment is huge. Okay, so we have got to deal with the internal factionalism, the internal concerns around the organisation, the fact that around complaints, how they're dealt with, members feeling more empowered, the democratisation of the party. There needs to be so much internally that needs to change. Never mind having to go out in the country and appeal more broadly.
At the end of the debate, the audience were asked who they thought won the debate, and an overwhelming majority of them put their hand up for Lisa Nandy. I think this could kind of challenge Keir's position at all.
Right. I mean, I think, look, given the challenge we face, it isn't a case of we should just have a woman leader because we think because the party's never had one. We have to choose the right leader for the current place that we as a party are, and we've got to find somebody that takes us through. I'm sure we will have future leaders. I think Lisa Nandy did very well, and she absolutely has got a really great way of communicating and giving a lot more detail. I think what you see with Keir, though, is somebody who's held very serious positions. I mean, for me, what speaks volumes about Keir is his human rights background. The fact that he went and did pro bono work to eradicate the death penalty in the Caribbean, in Malawi, in Uganda, that speaks volumes. I mean, it's all very easy. Anyone can stand on a podium and commit and say lots of great things. But actually, you have to look at the track record and say, well, what have you actually delivered on? What have you actually done that enables you to become the next best leader? It's just like an interview process. Some people are really great at selling themselves, and some people are a lot more reserved. And I think Keir is a lot more reserved. He's very measured, he's very down to earth, and he takes the issues very seriously, and I think that's really important.
And moving on to Heathrow, have we made the right decision to end the third terminal at Heathrow this week?
Yes, I would say. I voted against the Heathrow expansion. I think, look, we have got to look at the fact that why 22 million people in this country take internal domestic flights. I mean, we've got to look at other modes of transport, especially if we want to be carbon neutral. I think that we have to take tough decisions like this. I know it's not easy, and people will say, well, actually this is going to impact our on our global position in the world and around trade. I don't believe it will, because we need to look at other modes like rail, like road, and think of other ways of actually being able to travel around this country. And I'm glad that HS2 was given the go-ahead, and I think actually all of it needs to go ahead, and that full commitment needs to come, because if we don't invest in our railways, then we are going to have people that are going to rely on internal flights, which are unnecessary.
And then moving back onto the Labour Party leadership, who should be the deputy leader of the Labour Party?
Really difficult one, I have to say. I mean, Angela was always going to be my choice, and I think she's done well.
Is the media overreacting on the UK's kind of threat to coronavirus at the minute?
I think the problem with the coronavirus at the moment, in terms of the communication, this is a public health issue, and there hasn't been a lot coming out from Public Health England in terms of ensuring people, A, know what the symptoms are, B, know what to do. And then there's, article that I read this morning about actually there's a position that those that are the weakest will be left to die. I mean, what does that actually mean? That's quite worrying and quite frightening. And of course, we've identified a lot more cases, but we do regionally need to actually have a good communication strategy, which it needs to be better disseminated. There needs to be a lot more information at doctor surgeries when you go there, but in all public places, actually just alerting people to the kind of symptoms, but also what they need to do. I think there's so much unknown in this area as well, in terms of travel advice, people coming from different countries, what's actually happening. I mean, a lot of people that I've heard say they don't even know what the protocol is of people entering the country. Are they being screened at the airports, for example? If not, why not? Especially from countries where there is a huge concern. I just think the communication around this, especially by the government as well, is quite appalling, and it's quite poor, and it does need to be addressed.
Because it's most of the universities in the country. Should the university staff be striking for 4 weeks? I think a lot of people have sympathy with the fact that over the pensions and over the wages, but is 4 weeks too much? Because a lot of contact hours are being missed for students. I've worked out personally that I'm going to miss over £1,000's worth of education from the university. Is it too long, the strike?
Look, I think it's a really difficult one, because you absolutely understand the academics' position in terms of, their right to strike and their right to make the demands. And I think the Universities UK should have actually brought everyone to the table and be able to find a resolution, not just for students, but for academics and for universities as well. I think it's really important. I think students having an input into that has been really, encouraging to see lots of student support and come out and join the strikes. But of course, it's the balance of the impact it's going to have on your education that you pay for. So the question is, what is the university doing to address in the interim, whilst the academics are striking, to make sure that you're not being